buyers was on with me is,
Still got
the
his
guy, I
his
brought the guy out
gloves
of the
of
car,
shit.
went to searching him. I did the blade in my hand in his
Why didn't
buttocks.
he
He clinched it.
discard the
He clinched
gloves?
hard. And then he started yelling and shouting. And
He's
then
still
what I
holding
felt,
on to his
what I felt when
gloves.
I did the hand of my blade was something hard, a hard object in there.
Now he's got them
And sure enough, he
handcuffs
had a big bag of
with
weed.
the
or
rubber
big bag of
gloves.
crack. I think it was maybe 15, 20
He's
grams.
got his
crack cocaine.
handcuffs with the rubber
Passenger had the same exact
gloves.
thing. And I found that later. He had a warrant. And I found that later at the PD. He
Oh,
did the same
and he
exact
still
thing.
got the
And he
gloves,
had time.
but
So
he'll
the
throw away the
circumstances are
bag of
always different.
weed
Do they have
so
time to
kids
do it?
can, because
You know,
that's what we're
what's his
doing, is
arrest record
getting
like?
drugs off
How
the
is he
street.
acting? These are all things that, as a street level cop, I learned to realize and understand. And that's how their behavior and their actions is how I do my job. I go off of them.
But policy has restrictions on when you can do that
He
and when
still
you
got
can't.
his
Not
gloves
not
in his hand.
just what the
Did he
atmosphere
take
is at
them
the time.
home? Why isn't
Okay.
this guy asking him, what'd you do with the rubber gloves? You can't wait to throw the weed in the dumpster, but you're still holding
Probably not
on
as
to
quick
those
as I
rubber
should have.
gloves with a hole in it.
Did you read it? Could you sign for
And
it?
he's
You
like
signed
hiding
for the
it, too.
policy
He's like
back in
hiding it so no one knows
2017
that he's
for
keeping
that
his
specific
glove
policy
for
of
a
searches.
trophy. I think he went home and smelled his
Okay, yeah.
gloves.
So
Look at him.
yeah,
Now he's
July 10th,
squeezing them.
2017.
Like, you
And
know, like
Are
them
you aware of
perverts
what the
with
policy says
panties.
in regards
They
to
go and steal
strip
panties.
searches is basically what you can do.
I am not.
Now he's putting it in his other
It was
hand.
my impression
He's
at the time
really
it
in
was a
love with
strip
those
search.
rubber
When I think of
gloves
strip
that he
search, I think of
put up that
bringing
guy's
him back to
butt.
the PD, taking
Now he's
his
putting
clothes
them in
off
his car.
when something is too far
What is going
from my
on?
grasp. You know, if something,
He
if
put
they
so
hide
far up
something,
his
it's not
butt
going
is
to be too
making
far
his
from my grasp
nose
right away.
sniffle.
And at the same
You
time, you got
know,
to think
I've
about,
never
well,
had a
if
guy,
they
anybody,
in
put
their
a
anal
finger up
cavity
my
like
butt.
that, and it gets lodged up in
But
there,
I
it could be a
guess
health
it
issue.
would make your nose
You know?
run if you
Well,
went
that's
up
why
there
we have
deep enough
procedures
to
and
break his
policy for
rubber
things like that.
gloves.
I mean, it goes on to cavity
Jeez, how long
searches
is this?
if we're
Well,
concerned about
watch the
something
video.
like
What
that.
is it?
But
Jeez, this
I mean, the policy
over
is there to
20
protect
minutes?
you and the
2
citizens
minutes?
of illegal searches.
But I'll put the
And
link in
perfectly
here.
in this
I just
situation,
found
I
that. I'm
get that
watching it
other
right now,
people,
and I
there was
found it.
drugs found on them, but there was no drugs found on him.
Well,
Exactly.
it wasn't a problem then.
Nothing.
Why is it a problem now? Because I didn't
How
find
did you
anything,
smell
because
it?
he made a complaint on me.
Well, it's because it's a violation of law
Well,
and,
Now the
and
cops are mad
policy.
that
then why wasn't this
I
addressed when
love
that was
butt
going
teeth
on?
beaver on that
I don't know why it was addressed. I mean, this is the first that we've gotten a complaint about it.
Okay.
And you know,
The
put
cops all
yourself in
mad
that. If
that
that was your
you
son
got
or your
caught.
daughter,
If-
and
I want to
they
know
just
what he
dropped
did
off
with
a
the
friend who
gloves.
smoked marijuana in the car, and an officer pulls up, and they smell of marijuana, and they thinking what you're thinking, and they pull him out, and they search him the way you searched him in a parking lot with people walking around. How do you think you'd feel about the officer doing that to your child?
Well, this isn't my child. This wasn't, this wasn't an upstanding citizen. This was a guy that smokes weed, that gets arrested for crack cocaine
Upstanding
possession, that goes to
citizen.
jail, that comes and wants to get a good cop off the street and file a
Wow.
complaint.
Good.
That's what this guy is. That's what this kind of person is.
Yeah, but we can't
Wow.
we can't take somebody's past and use it against them
Holy
for
shit.
for
This
anything
is about
future.
the
what
mind
if
of
this
an
guy is-
insane
You
person.
know, he found
cops.
Jesus, and he's come clean, and he's
Okay.
trying to get his life
So why does he
straight.
smell like weed now?
He didn't,
Maybe
because you
somebody was
never
in the car.
found
Why
it.
did he say that? Did he say that during
Well,
the
he doesn't have to
investigation?
say it.
Well, then why wouldn't he dispel my fear that officer,
doesn't have
I
to
just dropped
say
my
it.
friend off. He was just smoking weed. Maybe
He
it would've-
wasn't.
But he doesn't have to tell you
differently.
that. Do you know what the Fifth Amendment is? Do you know what that is? It's a right to not incriminate yourself. So during a traffic stop, I don't have to say a word to you.
Okay, well, he was saying how it was the black and mild smelling.
He didn't have to. What I'm saying is, he didn't have to say a word.
Okay.
He didn't even have
Cop
to talk
is
to you.
dumb
Here's
as
my license,
shit.
and that's
Stay
the
off the
extent of it.
roids, man.
And then you have to investigate at the call.
And I did investigate it.
Right,
With
but
your
you're
finger.
investigating it. You just testified that you investigated based on his past. You felt like it was
just
worth.
his past. It was everything going on. It wasn't just his past. I told you. It's the totality of the circumstance. Not just people's past. It's their actions and behaviors while I'm on scene with them, during my contact with them, is how I go about my job. And I felt strongly that it was hidden inside his pants, somewhere
up
and
his
concealed,
butt.
either under his private area or concealed in his buttocks. Based on my experiences as a cop here, that's where they hide the drugs, and that's why I did what I did.
Hey,
And you
there's a
feel
bad
it's
guy.
justified
Drugs,
to do that type of search to get
harmless
to
weed,
get the drugs.
which is legalized
For
in my
marijuana, no.
state.
For the smell of marijuana, no. Did I do too much? Was I trying to do too much because of maybe I didn't want this guy getting away with this? Yeah.
What is he
What if
getting
they found
away
crack
with?
in his
Smoking
in his
some weed,
ass?
which he
Is
wasn't.
it justified?
If I found crack?
Yeah. Do you feel like it's justified for you to conduct that search? If it was more than marijuana.
How is that I don't understand how using the blade of my hand on his body.
Broke your rubber glove.
Take the blade out. You stuck your hand in his private area.
Right, and I told you that's where they hide it.
That's a violation of your.
Okay, so I admit to a violation.
Well, what I'm trying to get is your peace of mind when it comes to searching people, whether you think it's right or wrong, and if there's a line you cross.
The guy's like, he put his finger
I think you
up
see the
my
means
ass.
justify the ends if you are able to get the narcotics or
the reason
gun
his pants
or
are
whatever
down
it is.
because he goes, I ain't pulling them
But
up.
there's
I want the
laws that
cop to
protect people
see
in this
what it
country
look like there's shit
that
stains
prevents
too.
you from allowing you to do that
Like,
without probable
bleeding.
cause.
Michael Jackson's got to call the little kid and say,
Just because you
hide
smell
your underwear, I'm bleeding.
Suspicion on his behavior, on his actions, his attitude.
Right
But
there's
you
where it
can't
went
go
through
off
his
of that.
dick.
That's what I went off of.
You smelled marijuana.
Found none.
And based on that marijuana smell, you felt like it was justified to strip search him in a parking lot.
I do not feel like I strip searched him.
Well, per our policy, you did. And actually, our policy mimics state statute. So that same wording in our policy is taken straight from state statute.
I don't see how checking underneath his private area and then using the blade of my hand on his buttocks. I don't understand how that's a strip search. I don't.
Because
put on
it's
rubber
not
gloves
like you
so
felt a
bad.
gun and you were trying to do it for officer safety. You're smelling marijuana.
I was looking for marijuana.
And it wasn't there.
Right. It wasn't there.
Right. So everything you did to this guy was not just. Go ahead, Al.
And this is why they're planting drugs now. Because cases like this, they didn't find it. Well, I haven't seen this part yet, and I know my video is way too long. But I'm going to leave the link to this in there, and actually I can just show it to you now. Is that crazy? Right here, the real world police. And that's the exact video that I'm watching. How far into it? It's halfway through, so it's probably the deposition of one of the other cops. But isn't that crazy that I didn't see it the first time I watched? His glove. Oh, jeez.